Professor Dr. N. Gunasekaran is Dean, Rajalakshmi Engineering College, Chennai. He has 40 years of teaching experience in the field of electronics and communication engineering. He has guided 6 PhD scholars and 3 MS program scholars. He has published 10 books and 10 monographs. He conducted more than 50 short-term courses, winter schools, summer schools, and faculty development programs. He received Best Project Awards twice for UG projects at state level through Directorate of Technical Education and at national level President of India Award for the project on telephone for physically handicapped persons.
Welcome to UGC lecture series on optoelectronics. This subject concerns mainly with devices and applications based on the interaction between light and electron hole pair. Light and electron hole pair, they play a very important role in the whole subject. In fact, they are truly mutually generate each other and they depend on each other. That is why throughout the subject we will be talking on electron hole pair as well as the photon, which is a light particle. What is electronics? Electronics deals with the devices whose basic operation depend on the dynamics of electrons. Please understand, we want to link what is photonics or photoelectronics and electronics. They are not two independent subjects, they are related, but we are going to only emphasize on the properties of electron. Okay. So, electron is basically deal with the devices whose basic operation depends on dynamics, that is how electron is influenced by the forces of electric field and magnetic field. So, based on the dynamics of electron and its activities, all the devices in electronics are classified. For example, diode, transistor, SCR, UJT, like that there are numerous electron devices. So, all these devices function on the dynamics of electronics, whereas when you come to the other one, which is purely based on photons. What is the link between electron and photon? Electron and photon by and large they are very same particle. In fact, both are energy particle, they possess energy. Electron is basically an energy packet, photon is also defined as an energy packet, but there is a beautiful difference shown in the definition itself. When you define electrons, electrons are energy particle, it is a particle, we will say it is an energy particle. So, the energy given by the charge into the voltage applied. So, based on the voltage, the electron gains energy, thereby its dynamics are influenced. So, it is a voltage that act on the electron, because voltage nothing but a force. So, this force act on an electron, thereby its dynamics are influenced and thereby various devices are operated. On the other hand, photon is also a packet of energy, but we attribute to photon a wavelength. So, that the energy defined as a constant h into frequency. So, here both are energy packet, both are energy sources, but one we look as a particle, other we look at as a wave. So, electron exhibit a particle property on one side and it also exhibit a wave property on the other side. Thereby electron exhibit a dual property. Now, why we are emphasizing? Because sometime the particle property is more easy to appreciate the activity and understand the function of the devices, and sometime the wave is much easier to appreciate the device operation. By Einstein's relation E equal to h f or h nu, on one side of the equation E, which is exhibiting the particle property, energy itself indicates electron is a particle. Particle properties we list out immediately. So, energy, mass, momentum, they are all belonging to properties falling under the particle, whereas the right hand side f, which is purely an identity of a wave. So, this Einstein relation relates the wave property of a particle or wave property of a material, because electron ultimately forms the basic building block of a material. So, this relation talks about a material exhibits a wave property. It depends upon the situation, we use either particle property or wave property to get better understanding of the topic. Now, if you list out just for the sake of statistics, if you look at electron as a particle, it undergoes reflection, refraction, it has got a mass though very negligible, it has got energy though very small, and it has got a momentum and it has got a inertia. So, mass, energy, momentum, inertia are the very fundamental identities of a particle, whereas it also exhibit the wave property. Again reflection, refraction, wavelength, frequency, interference, diffraction, polarization, they are all identities of a wave. So, we cannot forget electron as a particle and say wave, or we cannot say it is a particle and not a wave. So, it is a question of situation where one theory is make us to appreciate the theory what we are talking. So, optoelectronic devices are nothing but dealing with two type of transducers. The optoelectronic devices deals with two type of transducer, one is electrical to optical and other is optical to electrical. In both the cases it is a electron become the hero. The electron plays a main role rather, thereby it does both the function of the transducers. The energy that does every work. Energy is a very important terminology, because on earth whatever the work we do, it requires energy, and this energy may be in a very small quantity in the form of an electron or a photon, but we never deal with one electron, we never deal with one photon. What we are going to talk about, beam of electron, ray of electron, bunch of electron, flow of electrons. We are going to talk about bunch of photon, flow of photon, ray of photons. So, it is a question of 10 power 20, 25, 20, 30 of that order of particles we are going to talk about. When so high number of particles flow in a beam or a ray or a bunch, then the required energy is always available. So, when energy falls, when I say energy falls, means it is a bunch of photons, it is not one photon, actually speaking bunch of photon may be of same frequency. A photon is identified by frequency, please remember, very important concept. A photon is identified by frequency, because frequency is an identity of a wave. Whenever you say photon, it goes without saying we are talking about a wave. Naturally, the identity of the wave frequency comes into picture. So, here you observe whenever a photon, a packet of energy incidenting on a junction or a semiconductor, then it generates electron hole pair. Okay. If it is falling on a semiconductor material, the energy is transferred to the electron hole pair, which is in the form of an atom. then electron getting released, it gains energy and goes to higher energy level. Thereby, the very first observation, the first operation what we are talking, electron hole pair generation. Electron hole pair generation is one of the two fundamental processes we are going to emphasize throughout the subject. So, the electron hole pair which is in the atom getting generated by means of drawing energy from the incidenting photon. What about the reverse? If the generated electron and hole recombine, the electron hole pair generated by accepting energy, energy is accepted, electron getting promoted to a higher energy level, then electron is there in one band and its counterpart hole is there in another band. We will see that the theory is very detailed as you progress. For the timing, let us accept that energy acceptance in an atom resulting in electron hole pair generation. Energy accepted, electron hole pair generated. If electron hole pair recombine, obviously the consumed energy is released. Of course, we are not talking about the loss, dissipation of energy in the system. So, assuming that lossless situation, when electron and hole recombine, then energy is released. So, it is a photon generation or light radiation or whatever you talk about. So, the recombination and generation are two counterpart process. In both the processes, the electron is involved. In one case electron generated, in other case electron disappearing. The disappearing of electron ends with generation of energy or a light. The appearance of electron results due to consumption of energy, because all the time the energy is a central word to be used, to be remembered and to be recalled in all our discussions. Now, let us see a very simple demonstration how this electron hole pair recombines and generate light or photons. Free electron at a higher energy level, free electron at a higher energy level, what happens when it falls to the lower energy level? They generate energy. So, in the first process, one of the popular devices in optoelectronics, namely LED, LED works on generation of light, light generated by the combination of electron hole pair. Electron is at a higher energy level and hole is at a lower energy level. When electron falls back on a hole, it releases energy, thereby the electron hole pair disappears. So, releasing energy becomes generation. Now, let us see how this electron hole pair giving rise to a light. Here you can see a p region and a n region, and you can see an electron and hole, and the red particle coming from the positive, blue coming in the negative, and they will recombine. Now, what you are observing, the electron hole pair combines, electron coming from the higher energy level, hole coming from the low energy level. When they combine, they give rise to photons. I hope you are appreciating the electron hole pair generation or their addition giving rise to light generation. That what we explained, whenever electron falls from a higher energy to lower energy, it generates light. This is exactly the principle of the function of a LED. And again the beauty is LED's generated light's wavelength plays a role. Whenever you say photon, always remember the wavelength. Based on the wavelength, the light gets a color. Now you can see a blue color. So, the blue color comes because of a particular wavelength. Now, you can also see the other part, for example, the red color. Here red is coming and yellow color coming, green color is coming. All these colors are due to the various wavelength of light generated by electron hole pair combining in a p-n junction. How exactly the p-n junction functions, how the light generation, will postpone for a later discussion. But the point to remember here, the recombination of electron hole pair give rise to the generation of light. So, that is the point. What about the reverse process? Let us see the reverse process. Solar cell. In solar cell, we will see the reverse process. Whenever light is thrown on a p-n junction, the photon, which is a packet of energy, give rise to generation of electron to a higher level and hole in a lower level. So, it is a generation of electron hole pair. Let us see that animated concept. Now, you can see here a lot of electron and holes are moving around very freely in a bulk of p material and n material. As they wander around, the electron on the n side will move to the p side and the holes on the p side will move to the n side. In the process, there is a generation of depletion region formed. Now, detail we will postpone, just understand how light give rise to the electron hole pair. Here one side electrons are wandering, other side holes are wandering. During the wandering process, the electron crossing over leaving positive charge, immobile charge. On the other side, it generates negative immobile charge. This accumulation of positive charge and negative charge on both the sides forms a depletion region. Depletion region means a region where mobile carriers are absent. Now, you can observe in this diagram, the wandering process continues, the electrons goes from n type to p type, the holes coming from p type to n type. In the process, they give rise to immobile accumulation of positive charge on one side, immobile accumulation of negative charge on the other side. This formation we call as a depletion region. Well, what is more important, this depletion region indirectly form a source of force, what we otherwise call it as an electrostatic field is created. This field force will try to see whatever the future electron hole generated will move towards the terminal, that we will observe. Now, after the formation of electron hole pair in the depletion region, now a light can be thrown. If a light is thrown, the light energy will fall on the bulk material. The light falls on the bulk material, the n region and the p region. From the bulk material, the electron hole pair getting generated. From the bulk material, please caution, the light thrown on a p bulk material and n bulk material. From the bulk material, electron hole pair are generated. After getting generated, the electrons are moving towards one side, holes are moving towards the other side. This movement is happening because of a force field. Now, this movement giving rise to holes are moving to one side, electrons are moving to other side. This movement of electron and hole from the p and n type material give rise to a current in the external circuit, that what you are observing. So, the concept here what we should appreciate at the present time is, whenever light passed on the p and n bulk material, there is a generation of light, that is the recombination of electron hole give rise to light. So, we have seen two complementary processes. One is a electron hole pair getting generated by the light, the other one electron hole pair combining give rise to a light. So, generation and recombination. We will have a very short break and continue. Welcoming you back after the short break to continue our talk. We were talking about electron hole pair generation and electron hole pair recombination. For that we have seen two animated concept, where I hope it is clear the generation and recombination process. Let us not bother about the theory of either LED or solar cell, because both of which we are going to talk in length in all details as you progress in the discussion. So, on one side we talk about the light, that is wavelength. Whenever I say light, always remember wavelength. The other one, electron jumping from one energy level to another energy level, or you can say it jumps from conduction band to valence band. Again I am cautioning, let us not bother about any detail, let us assume the statements and proceed, all we will clarify as we progress. Electron jumping, let us remember that terminology. Electron jumping from one energy level to another energy level means it loses energy. As energy levels are staggered one above the other, if electron has to go from one energy level to another higher energy level, it has to gain energy. If electron has to fall from higher energy level to lower energy level, it releases energy. This is enough for the time being. So, when electron jumps from higher level to lower level, that gap, the difference in the energy level, we call as a energy band gap. For the time being, let us assume that as a Eg. As you observe in the diagram, you can see Eg is a energy, you can also see the diagram, there is a level Ec, there is a level, the bottom level. The high level is conduction band and this lower level is the non-conducting band. So, when electron either falls from top to bottom or bottom to top, energy is involved. Now, this gap we call as a energy gap, that is Eg, and in the process there is a light involved and that light is identified by a wavelength, and these two are related by Eg equal to 1.24 by lambda, where Eg is electron volts and lambda in micrometer. Very powerful formula. I can show how it is derived from the basic principle. Now, energy, again I am repeatedly telling, energy is a term we should always keep remembering, because all our discussions are focused on energy only. So, energy Eg equal to the Planck's constant h into f. H is a constant, f is a frequency. So, thereby you can see the h is a constant, which is a 6.62 into 10 power minus 34, and frequency f can be replaced by c by lambda, because we know pretty well c equal to f lambda. So, c is the velocity of light, which is 3 into 10 power 10, and we are going to express the energy in terms of electron volt, thereby the charge also coming to picture. So, this is a simple calculation, from which if you simplify, the only variables what we are observing in this equation, on the left hand side the energy gap Eg, on the right hand side the wavelength, and this energy gap is expressed in electron volt, and on the other side the lambda, the wavelength expressed in micrometer. These units are chosen with some particular intention in mind, that we will discuss later. Electron volt is a very small energy. Energy what we discuss normally is in joules. Joules is a fairly bigger unit, but we are talking about energy carried by electrons. Electron is a tiny particle, very small particle, not visible with our naked eye, and the energy carried by it also very tiny. So, to represent such a tiny particle, we use a very smaller unit called electron volt. So, electron volt is a conventional unit of energy for the electron, and other side lambda, the wavelength, in micrometer. So, this formula I expect every one of you to remember, because this formula will be repeatedly used, because it is something like a PV is a constant, pressure into voltage is a constant, something like that. Here energy into wavelength is a constant, which is 1.24. If one of the things are unknown, the other thing automatically calculated by very simple formula. There is another very important concept we should remember about the photon, because all our discussions are only concerned about photon and electron, which are the two sides of the coin called energy. Energy is a coin. If you assume energy is a coin, On one side we call as a photon, on other side it is an electron. Otherwise, we are talking only about the same concept, namely energy. When you say photon, the photons are absorbed by the electron, thereby it goes to a higher level. The point is, it is not the question of time over which the light is focused on the electron or on a semiconductor. It is a wavelength of light that is very important. Please, again very important concept to be remembered. It is not more light and more energy, never. More light, more energy is a wrong concept. Energy directly proportional to wavelength, that is all, or the operating frequency. Higher frequency, more energy, lower frequency, less energy. So, the energy related to either wavelength or frequency. Energy is nothing to do with the exposure time. More exposure, more light, less exposure, less light, wrong. So, this is another key point. So, energies are determined by the operating wavelength. If you focus a red light, it has got some energy. If you focus a blue light, it has got different energy, very, very fundamental. So, and again the energy comes in the form of a quantized amount. So, it is called quanta. It is not energy flowing continuously like a water. We presume energy, though by the flow of lot of photons we feel light appears to be continuous, but it is not continuous flow, it is a quantized flow. Because of large number of photons are flowing at a time, we get the feel it is a continuous flow. So, light energy comes in the form of a packets called quantum, quantized photon or photon. Photon is a packet of energy. Please remember, photon or later on we are going to call phonon another quantum. So, they are all packet of energies. So, as I told you, a blue light consists of photons with a higher energy or higher frequency, whereas the red light has got lower energy because it is of lower frequency. The color of the light, the energy of the light is related to frequency, very important fundamental concept. But as I told you, in a semiconductor, each atom corresponds to one energy level. These are all very, very fundamental, very strong points to be remembered. In that is what is called Pauli's exclusion principle. Each atom assumes one energy, and in a semiconductor there are about 10 power 22, 10 power 22, very big number, very, very big number. 10 power 22 atoms are there in 1 centimeter cube. That means there are so many levels are there. Thereby we bring the word energy band. The word band comes because the number of atoms and number of energy level correspond to this atom is very huge. So, thereby we observe that there is a band of energy. That is why the concept of valence band and conduction band come into picture. Discrete energies are related to a gaseous medium, whereas continuous band are related to solid state. So, we are confined to solid state, the semiconductor, where we will only talk about continuous energy levels or otherwise called energy band. So, here the lower energy we identify it as a valence band, the higher level we are as a conduction band, and whenever light falls on a semiconductor, if it exceeds the energy gap, very important, only when it exceeds the energy gap there is a light absorption, there is a light generation. All this band theory we will repeat with more details as you progress. That what you are observing, you can see the first diagram, only two energy level where the carriers are crossing from lower to higher level. The moment more energy levels are appearing, more carriers can go up or down. As energy levels are increasing, the transition number of electron and hole also increasing. When as we just now made a statement, in a semiconductor material there will be electrons of the order of 10 power 22 or atoms of the order of 10 power 22. So, what was seen as a discrete levels become continuous levels. The levels are coming so closer, it become a band. So, here onwards when you talk about the transition, it is one band to another band, from valence band to conduction band. So, thereby the optoelectronics topic going to talk about the combination of electron and generation of light. So, this subject talks about the devices where the focus on two type of devices. One, devices which are all sensitive to light, and number 2, devices generating light. Now, as you observe quickly, we will see the few devices. We see various electron devices, each one of them we will be discussing in detail as you progress. You can see LEDs, photodetectors, different type of LEDs, photodiode which is detecting the light, the solar cell which converts light into energy, the light emitting diode which converts electron hole pair into light. Then it is a laser diode where highly focused coherent high power beams are generated. Then you can see finally the optical fiber, about which also will be discussed at the end of the lectures. So, these are the various type of general devices, just to get the feel about what devices we are going to discuss. Now this particular discussion on optoelectronic, it is a lecture series dedicated to a particular syllabus. There are 5 units the syllabus shows, where the major topics are optical process in semiconductor device, semiconductor junction, photodetectors, switching device and optoelectronic ICs. Lastly, it end up with a very important latest application, optical fiber communication. Now, there are books given in the reference, though there are number of books are given. By and large, if you observe the syllabus mainly focused or following the first book, namely the semiconductor optoelectron device by Vallabh Bhattacharya. That is a book actually followed by the syllabus. So, we will follow the book just to follow the syllabus, and these are all only talking about the optoelectron devices. When we come to the application, the optical communication, we can follow one of the last 2 books. So, we have well defined syllabus, we have a well defined book, we will follow these 2 and we progress unit by unit and try to complete the syllabus as elaborately as possible. But only one point to appreciate, rather I will just want you to appreciate is, nowhere we are overlooking the fundamentals. Wherever fundamentals are required, though it may not be seen openly in the syllabus, we will spend reasonable time on the fundamental and see that our understanding is completed. Now, there are few questions for the session what we done. The questions are, what the photoelectronics deals with. We should know the subject deals with what, question number 1. Question number 2, what are the dual nature of the electron? We said the electron shows 2 type of behaviors. What are the behaviors exhibited by the electron and where it is useful, and what are the 2 fundamental processes which are the backbone of the whole subject. There are 2 processes repeatedly discussed in the subject. Then how the band gap energy and wavelength are related. We shown a very simple formula and derivation also, how they are related, and lastly state few photonic devices which we seen last. So, go through the questions, and if there is a clarification required, we will discuss in the future meeting. Thank you.